what do I believe is the most valuable contribution thesis or idea from the materials? It's about how often your health can be affected by your social economic status within this world. Unfortunately, a lot of poor communities often are put at a disadvantage also because they don't have the income needed in order to be able to receive these medical services. And especially going back to the reading Healthcare for Some, it's talked about how even during the Great Depression, uh, a lot of people were forced to go to charity clinics in order to be able to receive medical services. And oftentimes these would be overbooked, overflow, and all the time people were forced, um, because of the economic decline, economic depression, people were often forced to not be weren't able to pay for their private doctors, which kind of forced their hands in order to go to these charity clinics as well. And oftentimes, a lot of doctors weren't really graceful enough in order to go down to these charity clinics, and oftentimes it will result in the patient's death. And a lot of doctors often refuse services to marginalized communities, especially even sadly during this time where people aren't getting laid off on a job and aren't able to recover or aren't able to receive the income that they need in order to be able to take care of their family, in order to take care of their loved ones, in order to take care of their health, especially as well. And oftentimes people were often scared to just get sick in general. A lot of families were afraid to get sick. A lot of families were even just a lot of families were afraid to get sick because they weren't able to receive their they were afraid they weren't going to be able to receive any medical treatment. Doctors will refuse them because of the fact that they aren't able to pay, which is downright outrageous because, again, health is not a privilege, it's a right, and everyone deserves to be at good health at the end of the day. And it was sad to even know that even during this time, even touching bases on race, obviously a lot of minorities live within these poor communities and weren't able to receive the treatment. And it would touch on the topic that African Americans were often forced to go to hospitals for them, which were often overbooked or far away from them, instead of just going to hospitals that are near them that are for white people because of this and because of racial discrimination because of the color of their skin. And oftentimes a lot of people during that time, a lot of African Americans were forced to have, there was a large number of African Americans that had tuberculosis due to this fact and weren't able to receive the medical treatment that they need in order to get better. And oftentimes it also built this, and obviously, as we can see, even today, a lot of African American communities often have a sort of bridge of mistrust whenever it comes to health officials as well. How does your personality affect how you think or understand this week's reading? Also, another thing I want to add is that language barriers as well. Another reading talked about how language barriers, like a lot of people coming to America refers to assimilate to our language, which is very difficult for them. And even times when they were struggling to do this, our country didn't really give them any leeway, and a lot of times they were either understood or weren't able to receive the medical treatment that they need in order to get better, which is crazy. And especially since we want to be able to, at the end of the day, we want to be able to unite our world. We don't want our world to be divided within sections or different, divided within sections, or to be divided in general with each other, especially when it's over trivial matters such as language. How does your personality, again, it's a question, how does your personality affect how you think about this week's reading, besides video? Especially me, I grew up from a liberal standpoint, so I believe that obviously medical bills being this high is downright outrageous. And especially as a lot of hospitals or a lot of hospitals getting new technology, it's kind of crazy that people need to pay a large sum of money in order just to get better. Because again, health is not just a privilege, it's a right. And a lot of people are, actually everyone is deserving to have good health at the end of the day and shouldn't be worried about if their next bill, or sorry, not bill, is their next paycheck going to be able to cover their medical bills or expenses or whatever, right? And a lot of families shouldn't be worried that, oh, because I just got sick this one day, I might not even make it to my child's next birthday, or I might not even make it to my next birthday, or I might not even be able to get well to get out of bed, just because of the simple fact that they can't be able to pay. And what do you believe has been a long-term impact of society has yet to come is racial discrimination, because all the time people begin to, again, a lot of people again to suffer from the oppression of racial discrimination. Now, obviously, a lot of people are put at a disadvantage from the history of racial discrimination, especially African American communities that they often face from. And a lot of communities, or a lot of African American communities, are still recovering from that to this day.